My name is Chris DiMattio. I'm so honored to be here, and we're honoring tonight a most outstanding and beautiful person in our community, Dr. Margaret Sheldon. Now, my job is to move this program along so we could all enjoy the heat, and in a little while they'll be serving dessert as well, and of course the silent auction items are over there. All the money goes to the charity, so that's great. Again, why I'm here is kind of a mystery. When Dr. Doug Sheldon asked me to serve in this capacity, I said, "Are you sure you want me for this event?" I mean, there's a lot of intelligent people in this room. I'm sure I don't fit in. The only thing I think I have in common with some of you is that we go to Abe's Deli quite a bit. Anyway, I do have something in common with Jewish Family Services in the fact that I was on the board and very active with Family Services of Lackawanna County, and we kind of both shared the basement at the JCC. And of course, Family Services didn't make it as long as Jewish Family Services, and the amount of work that you do is just incredible, and I think it's well over 100 years, correct? So give yourselves a nice round of applause for that. It's terrific. But to give us an update on the great work at JFS is doing in our community, please welcome the president of the board, Dr. Daniel Ginsberg, who at soon to be 93 years of age, he rode his bike all the way down to the center tonight. Doesn't he look great?
Believe it or not, greetings and welcome to the 6th annual Community Matters event, and congratulations to our esteemed honoree, Margaret Sheldon. I'm truly honored and humbled to lead this incredible agency and to have the opportunity to work with our committed and dedicated staff, board, donors, volunteers, and partners in building and strengthening our impact. JFS's mission and core values bring together so much of what is important to me, both personally and professionally. I am amazed at the core values. I am amazed at the comprehensive array of services that the JFS provides to all members of our community. I appreciate being part of this team and the legacy of Jewish Family Service. I want to spend a few minutes to tell you about our agency. In 1915, Jewish Family Service was established as an organization whose mission was of a charitable and philanthropic purpose, and to improve, strengthen, and enhance the quality of life for individuals, couples, and families through counseling, advocacy, educational programs, and services in the Jewish and general community. Our vision is to achieve a society where all families and individuals are empowered, self-sufficient, capable of overcoming challenges, contributing to the community, and feeling respected and valued. Our mission is to help individuals meet their full potential by restoring their well-being, cultivating self-sufficiency, and strengthening family life. Jewish Family Service of Northeastern Pennsylvania is accredited by the Council on Accreditation, a member of the network of Jewish Human Services agencies. It is an affiliated member of the United Way of Lackawanna, Wayne and Pike counties, and the Jewish Federation of Northeastern Pennsylvania. JFS has a professional responsibility to maintain the highest standards of care in guarding the confidentiality of the individuals who use our services. JFS is a participating provider with most insurance companies and accepts Medicare and Medicaid. A sliding scale is also offered based on family size and income. Hundreds of people turn to JFS every year to achieve well-being, health, and stability. Clients come to our agency from multiple sources, such as schools, physicians, psychiatrists, community mental health centers, the court system, and other clients who have benefit from our services. JFS addresses the client's concerns and collaborates with other community partners and funding sources to achieve the desired outcomes and improve family functioning. We are guided by Jewish traditions, tikkun olam, making the world a better place, chesed, to be kind and do acts of kindness to others, tzedakah, to giving to people in need. JFS thanks you for helping us help others. Now we're going to have a short presentation, a video presentation, 10 minutes to see more of what JFS does.
JFS is very important to the community in many ways. What many people don't know is we serve the entire community, and we have since our establishment, which is over 100 years ago. I believe what sets JFS apart from other private clinicians or other organizations is that we work together as a team to make sure that we help solve the person's problem. The issues that people come to JFS to talk about are very varied, and really it's never the same day twice at JFS. Whether it's domestic violence, sexual abuse, depression, anxiety, divorce, illness, and, that's why we're a family service. It's people's problems throughout their life cycle. Many times people ask me, who's your favorite client, or what's the story that you could tell? I feel that whether I'm on the phone with a client or whether a client walks into the office, the most important person that I'm dealing with at that moment is that person. You may know the success story quickly, or you may not know the success story. And sometimes it's many years later where someone might stop me and say, you saved my marriage. Or someone might say to me, my kid who came to you when they were having a struggle in high school, they now have a family of their own, thank you. So, many times you don't know the end of the story, but you would hope that the impact that you made, even if it's 1 hour or if it's 1 year, has made a difference in that person's life.
We are known for the fact that we approach an individual's problems from a systems approach, which is unique within the counseling and the treatment system of Scranton and Lackawanna County. We were contacted by parents who were referred to us by family friends because they were having issues with 3 children that they adopted through Lackawanna County Youth and Family Services. The 3 children at the time that they adopted had been in the foster care system for a while because as infants they were not cared for by their parents to the point that they were emaciated, developmentally behind, and were not developing and experienced multiple forms of abuse. I came up with the idea of giving him one of these characters that are made by a volunteer who knits these and puts them together and wants us to give them to children, so that it became, we called it his Huggy. And that as he experienced the anxiety even at home at night or in school, that he could talk and hold it so that it would help him deal with the anxiety before the interview. I met with the family and this young man after he had the interview at Children's Advocacy Center. The young man and his parents reported that he used the Huggy that I had given him, and it did decrease his anxiety and behaviors at home and at school. It was good to know that I was able to provide an intervention that helped to alleviate the anxiety, decrease the behavior issues, and allow this young man to be proud of himself for the way he conducted himself during the interview at Children's Advocacy Center.
My name is George. Christine and I were together for about 15 years. We, 8 years ago, finally started a family and had our first. I was happy. I thought she was as happy as I was. I thought that me and the kids were enough. She was enough for me. But last year, she took her life and part of ours with her. I spent days in bed until I realized how empty it was, and the amount of time I spent ignoring work and kids, the family. Took a while until I was able to pull myself together enough to make it over to JFS. My oldest daughter took it the hardest. She is at such a tender and confusing age, and having a single father is probably not the easiest way to grow up. She was able to get direct counseling, really work through some of her confusion, and really open up to me in a way that I didn't know that she couldn't before. And my son, he felt like it was his fault that she went away. But I suppose all little kids have a tendency to put blame in the wrong places, something else that I missed. But JFS was able to catch and point it out to me, let me see and work with my kids through family counseling. My counselor showed me several important coping methods to address some of the grief that I was burying and confronting it and working through it instead. I was hiding from the fact that I felt guilt over being here when she wasn't. We were able to assess some of the needs that my children had, and we reconstituted ourselves from several grieving individuals into a family, again, a thriving family, and we're stronger, so much stronger than we were last year. I will never have Christine back, but I still have my family, and I still have myself because of what JFS did for me.
As an agency, we have a contract with the County of Lackawanna to provide guardianship services for people that are already in their system, and they must be adjudicated in court that they are not capable of making their own decisions. Many of our clients are placed in nursing homes, and so much of what we do is advocacy. One of our clients, we got notification that she needed some clothing. I was able to check with her guardian of estate who handles her money to see if she had some funds to spend, and she did. So I went and visited her, and we looked at the catalog and we picked out outfits that she liked. Getting the new clothes seemed to brighten her day, and she seemed to be much more encouraged because of it. And she's just thanked me over and over again for helping her get the clothes. I think the national anthem for nursing homes in general is "I Want to Go Home." And people are in mourning for losing the life that they knew. Adjusting to a more institutional way to live is not easy for them.
I also have a really good friend who's not Jewish, and I've known her for many, many years. And I was really surprised to find out that when she moved to Scranton from another community, that she was just here with her mother. Her parents were divorced. She was in high school and sort of lost. And she ended up going to Jewish Family Service for counseling. That really surprised me because it was totally unrelated to the Jewish community. But Jewish Family Service is a really important organization. They do the counseling that you would expect, but I'm really impressed with the guardianship program because my mother in her last years was living in Connecticut and we were living in Pennsylvania. And fortunately, my sister lived closer and was able to go to oversee some of her health care until she finally had to go into a nursing home, and then she came to Scranton. But in the meantime, it was difficult talking to doctors and talking to nursing homes long distance. So I really appreciate their guardianship program where they can be the local guardian for somebody whose family might be in California or Australia or who knows where.
I think people should support JFS to the extent that they can because it's such an important part of our community. Provides services that people can or cannot get elsewhere, but often can't afford to go and don't know where to go elsewhere.
That's something. Hats off to the people who produced that. Very nice. Very touching. Now, about that Huggy, where is he? You think that it could improve our golf game? A little anxiety? Nobody gets that here. Okay. Now the moment that many of you and us have been waiting for, and several people in the audience have traveled near and far and a great distance to honor Dr. Sheldon, an individual whose both professional and philanthropic contributions has made this community a better place to live. And to tell you more about Dr. Sheldon is Dr. Marilyn Weisberg Deutsch. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Marilyn moved to Scranton after she and her late husband, Henry, completed their doctorates in clinical psychology. Marilyn immediately embraced our community, and besides her private practice, she found time to teach both at Marywood University and Penn State Scranton. She also served on several local and national nonprofit organizations, including JFS, Elan Gardens, Temple Hesed, Jewish Home, Scranton Counseling Center, Easter Seals, Head Start, just to name a few. But what's most impressive is that, and I didn't know this, she founded the Lupus Foundation of Northeastern Pennsylvania and the Autoimmune Center. She was a regular on WHYY's Ask the Doctor program and also did parenting programs for Catholic TV. Marilyn was the consulting psychologist for the Lackawanna County Child Sexual Abuse Team, school districts, United Cerebral Palsy, and Commonwealth Medical School. Currently, aside from probably her favorite job, which is babysitting for her newborn grandchild, Marilyn is on the staff at the Rector Clinical Center at Thomas Jefferson Medical School, and she volunteers at the hospital as a clown at both Jefferson and St. Joseph's Hospital for Children. Doctor, this podium is now yours. Oh, right in front of me.
Hi, old friends. I was really overwhelmed when Margaret asked me to introduce her during this wonderful event. Aside from being delighted that Margaret is getting this well-deserved honor, there's a special place in my heart, not only for Marg, but for JFS. It was one of the first boards I was invited to be on upon moving to Scranton in 1981. And as a result, I met some lifelong friends and colleagues at Jewish Family Service. In addition, my late husband, Henry, who many of you have known, avoided boards at all costs, was passionate about the mission of JFS. Despite his reservations about boards, he not only served as director, but would have been the next president of the board if he had not passed away. To prove our lifelong commitment to JFS, to when I moved from Dalton to an apartment in Philly in 2013, I had to give away no less than 70 t-shirts Henry and I accumulated over the years. I kept a few that were meaningful to me. This is one I kept. I have no idea when this fundraiser was, but it's a JFS t-shirt, probably Don knows what year, saying, "Solving life's problems, one person at a time." And this was one of the t-shirts that I took and I still wear. I think your fundraisers have come a long way since that time. Okay. I met Margaret in 1981, a few days after we moved into Northeast Pennsylvania. Margaret knocked at my door with freshly baked brownies, and in keeping with Margaret's MO, knew everything about me, my children, my family, my extended family, my profession, and why we moved to NEPA. Well, full disclosure, unbeknownst to Mark, in preparation for this introduction, I spoke to her sister and her children and asked them for information which I could incorporate into my words about Margaret. Similar to my first interaction with Mark, the first thing the boys said was that she knows everything about everyone. Brian said a typical conversation may be, "Remember that girl in your class in 3rd grade? Well, you weren't really friendly with her, and I didn't know her family, but blah, blah, blah." Well, Margaret had information and shared it not in a gossipy way, but simply an informational way. In keeping updates on people and situations, she was and is aware when someone needs help. Margaret isn't a gushy, sugary, sweet, huggy, kissy woman, but as her boy said, she shows her love and her caring by acts of kindness. We have all seen and experienced Marg's acts of kindness with individuals and the community at large. Isn't that what JFS is about with their counseling, Meals on Wheels, everything we saw in the video, food bank, adult guardianship, and older adult services, case management? She gets excited when she can point out needs, find the monies, and address a needed service in the community. Margaret, as you know, is brilliant. At first, I thought she was a savant, but savants are people with an extremely outstanding knowledge base in a selected few abilities, often in memory, mathematics, science. But for savants, these skills are often in stark contrast to other abilities which are often well below normal. I have yet to find any area of Marg's functioning which is even average, let alone below average. What an asset to any board of directors or the community in general. Her brilliance allows her to assume leadership responsibilities as she can understand every aspect of an organization. Margaret gave me advice on everything. I asked her for it, from washing machines to buy to side effects of medications that frankly my physicians didn't know. She was my Google in 1981, before Google came to being. I recall telling her that she puts computer reports to shame. She laughed when I mentioned computer reports. Well, I found out why later. I discovered her mother's background, and I realized the scientist, researcher, and writer, all that Margaret is as well, doesn't fall far from the tree. Her mother, Anita, graduated from Smith College in 1939 with a degree in chemistry and was editor of the Smith College's newspaper. In years to follow, Anita's science knowledge, research, writing, and editorial skills landed her a major position. Guess where? Consumer Reports. At the risk of continuing to talk about Margaret's childhood and influences from her family of origin, well, like, what do you want from me? I'm a shrink. Margaret's father was no slacker either, having graduated from MIT in engineering after his schooling at University of Munich and the University of Zurich. No doubt he was analytic and a detailed person, as Margaret is. As busy as her parents were, both parents were heavily involved in Jewish and other community organizations throughout Margaret's lifetime. Her parents were great role models, and we all have, I'm still feel like I'm a Scrantonian, and you have received the benefits. Many of you were surprised when you read her bio and realized that she is Dr. Margaret Sheldon. She never flaunts her credentials, and only when asked will she casually mention that she has a degree in physics from Bryn Mawr and a PhD from the University of Chicago in biophysics. And her dissertation, when asked, was simply the molecular biology of messenger RNA of viruses affecting bacteria. You know, something simple that Margaret decided to whiz through. Well, at the University of Chicago, in addition to her biophysics research, she researched and studied with significant depth Doug Sheldon. She must have done a great job with that project, because they have been married over 53 years, created 3 amazing boys, and 6 brilliant, talented, lovely grandchildren. Mark's boys told me that Margaret did research on everything years ago, way before Google. The boys said that they had to censor their conversation at dinner because if they asked a simple question, Margaret would exit, then spend hours combing through the encyclopedia, atlas, and reference books, of which they had many, to get a detailed answer way beyond the question that was asked. No surprise, her boys made it to honors programs in college and Ivy League schools. As a board member, in contrast, frankly, to many of us who might think about board issues while driving to the meetings or would wing it when asked for our opinions, knowing Margaret, it's likely that she thinks about and researches agenda items days and weeks prior to the meeting. Margaret and Doug are from very different family backgrounds, religions, and interests. Margaret, after growing up in a city and the burbs, now lives on the farm with Doug, with large gardens and several cats and dogs and a few unwanted snakes and chipmunks. Her children said that she has excellent leadership skills in Jewish organizations because working with board members is like herding cats. Herding with a D, not hurting. Okay. Margaret helped merge Doug's family and her family into one close-knit group. Both families are represented today, with mutual respect for religions and religious holidays. The family celebrated Hanukkah and also participated in the Sheldons' Christmas traditions, an important holiday for the Sheldon side of the family. Understanding, acknowledging, and embracing and respecting diversity is a characteristic and lifestyle that Margaret has practiced for years and made it work. Diversity and respect and differences are so critical in this day and age in every organization and in this world, and Margaret and Doug can be role models in that area. Margaret's commitment to Judaism and its institutions remains strong. I watched Doug support Margaret as she embraced Judaism and its traditions. Her children wanted me to make sure I acknowledged their dad for not only supporting Margaret every step of the way as she raised them Jewish and created a Jewish home, but spent thousands of hours, that's their word, volunteering her time, brilliance, analytic thinking, and leadership in Jewish organizations. Margaret has been instrumental in strengthening organizations within the Jewish community. After serving as chair of various committees, she was president of Temple Israel and still serves on the board and is chair of the investment committee. She's been involved in Jewish Federation, starting out in the Young Leadership Program, we were all part of it. Soon after, co-chairing fundraising division, serving as president of the Federation, currently chairs their investment committee as well. And your program talks about all the other organizations that she served. Margaret, however, I think is unique, being on the committees in the Jewish community. She refuses to play politics. She's not fearful of stating a position, crashing against the establishment when she feels their "we've always done it this way" approach and rules are counterproductive and outdated. Recently, she told me about an incident, and she said to me, "If they threw me off the committee, good. One less meeting I'd have to go to." I mentioned Marg's involvements on several investment committees. Yes, she is a detailed numbers person, but chairing an investment committee successfully takes more than understanding a budget and spreadsheet. When it comes to money, Margaret makes sure it is used responsibly. She often goes out of the box to find solutions. Once in the early 80s, when her old computer's motherboard, which is the guts of the computer, as she explained to me, broke, the estimated repair bill, according to Marg, was outrageous. Margaret was irate and refused to either buy a new computer or pay the money to these hungry young techs to repair her computer. She didn't know much about computers at that time, but she called the manufacturer and bought the technical manual for a minimal amount of money, studied it, and guess what? Fixed the guts of the computer herself. Knowing Marg, she probably still has that same computer. Her commitment to budgets and investments of organizations to which she is a member clearly has the same personal involvement in analyzing, problem solving, and protecting the agencies to assure that monies are used for the benefit of all. For over 100 years, JFS has been helping families, couples, and individuals in our community strengthen and enhance their quality of life through their programs and services. Times are tough financially for many nonprofit agencies, and the needs are increasing. We all know that. Margaret also has had some ups and downs during the past year. And as a close friend and confidant of Marg's, I asked her, "How are you doing?" She said, "The last few years have been an exciting time." And I said, "Exciting? Well, tell me more about what you mean by exciting." She said, "I'm on the investment committee of JFS, and they received several significant bequests." That's what makes Dr. Margaret Sheldon happy. Marg has no need for fancy vacations, fancy clothes, or jewelry. She gets excited about getting rid of budget deficits and provided well-needed services to others. So now it's my honor to introduce to you one of a kind, an amazing member of your community, Dr. Margaret Sheldon.
Thank you so much, Marilyn, although I don't know really who the person was you were talking about, because I'm not sure I believe all the things you said, but they're flattering anyway. And I want to especially thank Marilyn for, when I first asked, I was told I needed to find somebody to introduce me tonight. And I thought, oh, she has to introduce me. It's a short little thing. I didn't realize she was the keynote speaker. I just had to get up and say thank you. And when I told her that, I apologized because I didn't realize what I was asking her to do. And I also want to thank Chris DiMattio so much for agreeing to MC tonight. he's been a wonderful person for us to get to know and to manage some retirement funds for my husband. Now, I especially have to thank Doug. Doug had a knee replacement this year. And right about the time of the knee replacement, when I was asked would I be willing to be honored tonight. And I certainly wanted to support JFS. And the more people we could have, the more exciting it would be for JFS. But I didn't realize my husband, who was having trouble sleeping, was thinking up ways to call everybody he ever knew to say, don't you want to come to this event and honor my wife? And you see the effect. I mean, I know some of you are diehards of JFS, and I appreciate that a whole lot. But thank you so much for all the people who came from not just the Scranton area, but farther away too, to honor JFS and me. I want to thank the people at JFS who worked hard to make this possible, especially, well, you know, Sheila is the director and Dan Ginsberg is the president, and they see that everything happens and the staff is wonderful. But we must have driven Art Lewandowski crazy trying to give our input into what was going to happen tonight. And we thank you so much for that. Plus, we thank the committee. I don't know if it was listed in the booklet or not, but there was a committee of several people who worked hard to see that the room looked nice and the food was right, and I thank them too. Today is a special day for many reasons. One, I'm here being honored. But if you look to find nothing in your mailbox today or tried to go to the bank today, you probably realized without too much pre-knowledge that today was Juneteenth, National Independence Day, which is, for those of you who are not so informed, you probably know, but I don't think I always looked up the meaning of it. It's the annual federal holiday in the United States since 2010, commemorating June 19th, 1865, when the Major General Gordon Granger ordered the final enforcement of the Emancipation Proclamation in Texas at the end of the Civil War, proclaiming the freedom of the enslaved people in the Confederate States. As the people who were released from slavery in Egypt, we certainly identify with those people who were released from slavery at the end of the Civil War. So for me personally, today is also special, well, because of the honor that all of you have provided for me, but it's also special in our family because today is also the wedding anniversary of our son Daniel and his wife Heather. And I told them we were throwing him the biggest anniversary party they've ever had. As Marilyn said, for me, participating in community service is part of what I learned from my parents and my grandparents. It was a responsibility as an adult. As years went on, I didn't go saying, can I be on your board? Can I be on your board? I was happy doing what I was doing with my family, but if somebody came and asked me, will you please be on your board? I also found it hard to say no. And of course, Jewish Family Service was one of the places. And it wasn't one of the first places where I served, but it seems like one of the most important places where I have served, because they provide such important services for our community. And as it gets harder and harder to get community funds, they have to do a little more work to provide the funding for their own agency. And I did tell Marilyn about how wonderful it had been over the last few years to see that Sheila's dream of having endowments for the organization has finally come true with the emergence of several important bequests. It's still not enough for the income of that to provide for the losses in some other funding, but we're trying. And the more people we know, the more I hope that they will find more support. And because it's really an important agency that should keep going. I was going to say something about some people over the years who have, well, excuse me. Over the years, there were many people who encouraged me to be involved in certain organizations and sort of tutored me to get into learning those organizations. And one of my big regrets is that so many of them have either left the community or some of the very important ones are even no longer living. And I didn't want to name names because I was sure I was going to leave out somebody very important, but there were a few friends that I really wish were still alive to consult. And I thought maybe I could conclude with a little bit of teaching or something that I learned when I first came to Scranton. When we first came to Scranton, the first activity that I ever participated in was in Welcome Wagon. Somebody came to our house and welcomed us to Welcome Wagon. And I got involved a little bit, and at the end of the first year, they said, you know, we have always done this picnic, and it's this wonderful event, and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and people get together for days preparing food for this picnic, and then they find somebody who has a big enough backyard, and we all get together and we have this wonderful picnic. But it's gotten so big, we're not sure where to hold it, and it's so much work that, you know, will you help work with this, or will you chair it? And this year we've decided, because it's so big, that we should probably have it in a local park. And one of our new members just happens to be a caterer. And we're going to chip in and let this woman do the catering for the food. And so they went ahead with this plan. And much to many people's surprise, and when I thought about it, it shouldn't have been a surprise. It was a very nice picnic, but there weren't very many people there. Because what brought everybody together was everybody was helping put it together from the beginning. And you had everybody invested in the success of the party. And once you said, oh, well, we'll just have one person, we'll pay one person to do it, and we'll go to a public place, it wasn't the same thing. And if you really, so in general, the more people you have involved in a project, if it's not crazy number of people to make it successful, the more people you have invested in preparations, the more people you'll have showing up for the event. So that's my little bit of education, and I forget about it a lot of the time. It's very hard to not want to just do it yourself or get a few very confident people to do it, but you lose your support when you do it that way. But anyhow, but I thank everybody, so many people who've come from so many different places, and we know from so many different ways, for coming here tonight. And please, if you can, support JFS. Thank you.
That is one unique individual. Thank you, Dr. Sheldon. Thanks for all you do. You're going to go kayaking tomorrow? Is that? Oh, yesterday it was gardening tomorrow and something with the cats and stuff. What a unique pair. Organizations are successful when they have hardworking, dedicated staff members and volunteers who truly grasp and live the mission of their group. At JFS, the Jewish tradition of caring and compassion for all people in need is led by Sheila Noodleman Abda. Let's applaud and welcome Sheila as she will give us some remarks and make some presentations. Sheila?
That was so nice. Thank you, Chris. What an evening. Great. I get the easy ending part. Okay. Margaret, beautiful what you said and shared. Wonderful. And I have the opportunity now to end the night by thanking you again and thanking others. You're the first one I want to talk about tonight. As I prepared a few words about you tonight, Margaret, I started looking at your board file, your personnel file. 207. All right, so 2007, 2007. My husband corrects me, not 207. But your file was filled with beautiful notes and articles, and many that you spoke about tonight and shared with everybody here in the room. Honors, beautiful things. But what was interesting to me was your application for the board. And when you started listing all your cool stuff and the PhD, and I didn't even want to try, I was going to omit saying molecular genetics. I'm thinking, I can't even pronounce it, and Margaret's got it on her bio. Your PhD and your genetics, all there, everything beautiful. But when I looked at your occupation on the application, you didn't say anything about your credentials. You said homemaker and community volunteer. And it struck me, I thought that was amazing. You know, everything on the bottom, but that on the top. And, you know, I can't speak for how your family, you know, how they lived with you and what you have been to the family. I'm more aware of your community activism and how you volunteer. And I've had the privilege of getting to know you, Margaret, and working together with you. Your quiet demeanor, I mean, tonight, probably, you know, you came through because normally you're quiet to me. You know, you share a lot of thoughtful things. You're totally smart, intuitive, interested, supportive, committed, you know, and I feel I have a strong personal relationship. I always feel that you're there for me, you're supportive to me, and you make a positive difference in the lives of many by all you do and your volunteer service. We heard a lot about you, Margaret, tonight. Your extensive experience, your nonprofit work, all the boards that you sit on, your commitment to causes, your leadership. You're making the community a better place every day. I thank you, we thank you, your vision for everything that you've done and that you continue to do. And really, I could think of no better honoree for tonight's 6th Community Matters event than you, Margaret. Margaret, I'm gonna ask you to stand up one more time. I have a little gift for you. Or I could bring it to you if you want. Do you want to come? Okay. Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to give it to you, then I'll give you a hug. Okay, and I'll explain what it is. Meaningful gifts aren't always easy to find, but we wanted to give you something that we felt would commemorate the event and honor you as you continue to make the world a better place by all you do. As some people have noted tonight, things rooted in Jewish traditions. So again, JFS is rooted in these traditions of philanthropy, social justice, and tzedakah. Tzedakah is the Hebrew word for charity, which is really fundamental in the purpose of our agency. So in your hand, you have a tzedakah box. It's a beautiful tzedakah box from the Gary Rosenfeld collection. It has our JFS logo, the one that Marilyn has on the shirt that she saved, and it has your name on the back. And it's my hope that this special gift for you will remind you as you continue to do your part, caring for others, helping others in need, helping build a stronger community, and making a better place for all of us. I thank you, Margaret, for all you do, the support you give, and if you could all again, you know, congratulate Margaret for everything. Okay, thank you, Margaret. Great, beautiful. Oh, yeah, the billboard. For those of you who have, there's 5 of them, and I think there's digitals too, but spot the billboard, I think they're still there. I know I saw one on Greenridge Street. I think someone else saw one on 81. There was a couple other places that people told me they were. And so please look around while Margaret's still on a billboard. Okay. Okay. It's great. You know, again, Tom Donahue has joined us in our fundraising efforts, does the billboard for us, so we totally appreciate it. Next, I'd like to thank Chris DiMattio, guest speaker, beautiful MC tonight for our program. Thank you for that. Marilyn, who I've known for many years, and your personal touch and what you shared tonight, I feel it too, and I thank you for sharing it. And for everything that you said, recognizing Margaret and the agency. The family, Margaret's family, Doug, kids, grandkids, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight, traveling, sharing this event with your family and with JFS. I also want to thank Dan Ginsberg, our president, and Leah Lowry, who really, without Leah, I'm not sure that this would have been as successful as it was. Natalie, Susie Connors, and their committee who continue to make sure that this event was going to be successful. And I thank all board members for everything they do, their hard work and their dedication. Okay. Yeah. Even though I end with thanking the staff, a lot of times it really should be more upfront, maybe in the beginning of my next year's speech. But I'll take a couple minutes to thank the staff of JFS. The staff of JFS, they strive every day to ensure that JFS meets its goals and can continue to the mission of serving others and serving us of those who are in need. Their dedication, their skills, their professionalism are to be commended. The JFS team has the drive to overcome their challenges, the obstacles, keeps going forward, going above and going beyond. Some of the staff you may recognize have been here for many years. Some are just a few, and some are even newer. And each one of them does an exceptional job, and I am honored to be part of this outstanding, respected group of professionals. All of the agency staff, if you look at your program tonight, there's pictures of everyone. We don't have name tags, but they're recognizable. There's 10. And if you could go around and just, shake their hands, recognize them, thank them. They do a great job. They make a positive difference every day. So if you could join me in applause for the staff of JFS. Okay. And a couple people did mention our longevity as an agency, 109 years. 109 years since our establishment. And I think we are in a strong position. There's challenges, but we are there to continue the work ahead of us. And that's in a large part due to every one of you who are here tonight helping us with all your charitable efforts, your support, and we really couldn't do it without you. So we thank you. You help us make a stronger community. I think we have dessert. All right, so at this point, I'll end the program. Thank everyone again, and please, there's a dessert buffet. Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Give me a couple of notes.
Thank you, Chris.
Art gave me a couple of notes, and that is one, yes, dessert is being served. The silent auction is still looking for the highest bidder over there. We do want to thank our caterer, our bartenders, and especially live music tonight. Doug Smith and his jazz trio did a fantastic job. Although I got a little nervous, I saw Jimmy Connors with a microphone. I was hoping, okay, good. That's a camera, not a microphone. And the flowers, you have beautiful floral arrangements at your table. You guys could, how about the closest anniversary, the closest birthday at the table, take the flowers home, okay? And again, let's enjoy dessert. And once again, one more round of applause for Dr. Sheldon and all her wonderful work that she did.